Welcome to Punky's World. Okay. I've written out my criteria for UIDs, and it's basically the same criteria I use for my missings. Both male and female. There have to be some children. There have to be at least some historic cases, really old cases. I love those. Varying ethnic groups. I do Black, white, Hispanic. I try to stick with English-speaking countries. And you say, well, you just said you do Hispanic cases. Yes, we have a large Hispanic population here in the U.S. English-speaking countries such as Australia, the United States, the UK, New Zealand, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, South Africa, and I'm sure there are more. And I try to find a case, well, first of all, it has enough information to make an interesting video, but also I like to find some point of interest for me, like, is there something about this case that hooks me? You know what I mean? Is there something that, for some reason, I'm really interested in this case? Is there some sort of catch to it? Did the person have, like, Flat Top Sean Doe had notes with him in a notebook. Another one had a picture of a child. Something that catches my attention, my interest. Because I figure if something's going to catch my attention and my interest, it's probably going to catch yours too. So, let's, now I have 3 potentials listed here, actually 4 potentials. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentials that I have to do more research on to see if they're going to be cases that I do. Now, I like No Network. So we're doing is, okay, welcome to the No Network. Now, I recommend, here's something like chronological. Now, I'm going to start in Europe this time. The UK doesn't have very many because it's a much smaller country. Maybe I'll say UK. Fortunately, there are no pictures of the ones for the most part of the UK. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna Canada. Canada. Okay. There aren't as many in Canada either. Sheesh, nobody has pictures. I prefer a picture. That's another, it's not a criteria that is a, as you'll see with this month, a couple of the does don't have pictures, but it's not a criteria that necessarily excludes a case if I'm highly interested in a case. But it's certainly one that could potentially be a case. I mean, excellent. Good Lord. Okay, this is an infant. Now, if you come down here, Now this one's interesting because there's actually some information which there usually isn't about an infant. So this one is definitely a possibility. And we're coming up on 40 years. So, now, usually I stay away from infants because it usually means parenting. It doesn't say. It does. It says newborn. This was in Winnipeg. The fact that a man was seen with a child probably means that I will do it. I don't want to forget, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this paper over. And this is what I do. Okay, this is for August. Yep, if I can abbreviate August correctly. It's only the month of my birth. I mean, what the heck? I wrote AG instead of AUG. Anyway. Okay. I usually steer clear of infants because there's usually not a lot of information. This one has an interesting story to it. Male. Okay. It just makes me wonder if the dad took the baby somewhere and the mother said, "What did you do with my baby?" You know what I mean? Usually, like I said, I steer clear of infants because A, there's usually one line, body was found here, and usually no picture. There's actually a drawing here, and it's a nice drawing. That's a plus. And there's a sketch of the sweater that the baby was wrapped in. The baby was buried, which doesn't usually happen. So there are a few things in this case that make it one that I'll do, versus a lot of infants that don't have a sketch. They have very little to go on. You know, the infant found here, you know, laying on the ground. You know, so that's now this sounds old, and I do think doing elderly people. Oh, circumstances he was found here. If that's all the circumstances they have, then how can you do anything with it? And yes, I realize I can look it up. You know, always find what you're looking for. Trust me. Some of the sketches are absolutely pathetic. I am going to go back and look at something else. Race unknown. Okay, you need an anthropologist. I remember there's a baby who named missing, right? It's I mean, in your identifiers. Good Lord, could you read this guy's eyes any scarier? That looked like, I don't know what the artist was thinking. And you look at it and you think it's an elderly person. And you click on it, it's a freaking infant. The artist should be ashamed of themselves. That's all I can say. This artist should be ashamed of themselves. It's like, you could have done a better job with an infant. An infant is cute. You made this infant look like the spawn of Satan. I mean, it was that bad. So, and you also have to watch out on sketches, what they do to these poor people. It's not a bad sketch. If I have the choice, will always go for, see, look, it's military. I will always go for a sketch done by Carl Koppelman, because he's the best. Every identification that's been made of people that he sketched was like he was drawing a picture of the person. They've been perfect. So you look at his sketches and they're perfect. He makes the person alive, and there's even one sketch that he's got. They knew the lady smoked, so he did a sketch of her holding a cigarette, a lit cigarette, to make her look as alive as possible. I mean, that's what come on, stop with it. Let's see. Oh, actually, maybe he was a hunter. Because it doesn't look like military. And they would have been him. One note. 18 to 90. Yeah, that's helpful for an age group. Good Lord. This is a newborn that only has a frog, but I believe I did that. That's the one I believe I did. Yeah, come on, Calvin. That's something else. You need to make sure, if you're going to do this kind of thing, that you know what you've already done. So, why do we have so many in the US? So few everywhere else. That's crazy. Unfortunately, there are a lot of in Ontario, 2 to 5 months, still down. A jogger found her remains 5 kilometers from the village of Newburgh and 4 kilometers north of the Palace Room exit from Ohio. Oh boy. I mean, yes, it's nice to know where they were found, okay? But when that's all you know, anyway, I also like to do, another thing that I like to do with unidentified, if I can, is ones that aren't necessarily foul play. Someone was hit by a car. Someone accidentally drowned. Someone, like the Fred John Doe was just out in the wilderness and died of, old age or whatever. Suicides. Things like that. So they're not just homicides, Because I feel like people would be less afraid to come forward if someone died in a non-violent way. Well, suicide's violent, but you know what I mean. in a way that wasn't in the hands of another person. I also like to look at ones with it. Definitely jump from an overpass. Alright, let's go to Australia for that of it. Okay. Whoa! There's none? There's no female unidentified? And then a couple of notes. Okay. What's that? 70 plus years old. Who is this? Let's see. Case history. Huh. This one is sad. Obviously hands out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is definitely, this is a no-born chicken John Doe. To M-E-L-B-O. Age 70s. You guys remember, yeah. How freaking sad. He lived in Malco of an apartment building. And that's something that we get, you know? And I'll go on like this. Okay, there's like nothing in Australia. Let's see. Let's go back to the US. And that's what I do. Something like that's going to catch you. You know? A missing soldier, weird, you know? Or, you know, someone who could have been a soldier unidentified, something like that. So, I hope that this shows you a little background on how I prepare for does, unidentifieds. You know, what my criteria is, and I found a couple of cases. I didn't go into too much detail because I want to write my cases and have them come up next month. So, without everybody already knowing. So, anyway, thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Hi guys. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 100. Thank you so much.